Hey everybody, Questwise here, and tonight I invite you to join me at the campfire as we talk about Tiny Gunslingers. This is an RPG written by Alan Bahr and published by Gallant Knight Games. It's part of the Tiny line of RPGs by Gallant Knight Games, which includes also Tiny Dungeons, Tiny Frontiers, Tiny Supers, etc. This is a Western genre RPG. Think of authors like Louis L'Amour, or movies like 310 to Yuma, in which you play cowpokes. It's a D6 dice mechanic. If you're familiar with any of the other tiny line of RPGs from Gallant Knight Games, you'll be very familiar with how this works. Generally, you're rolling 2d6 and using those as those results as your tests and your combat. Some really cool stuff in this. I've been in a very Western mood lately. Western kind of RPG thing, and it's interesting because Western movies and books and stuff, when I was a kid, I was really annoyed by a lot of them, but as I grew older, I began to really appreciate some of the literature and movies surrounding Westerns, Wild West shootouts, and Alan's really captured some really cool stuff in this game. Things that really enforce the sort of cinematic Western feel. Some of those things are abstract cinematic ammo, in which, guns never run out of ammo until the end of the scene, and then you'll roll to see if your gun is actually out of ammo at that point. The other thing that's really fascinating about this game, and I think really sets it up and fits in the Western genre, is the idea of shootouts or duels, where you have these couple of guys facing off in the streets of some outback town somewhere, and how he does that is he uses a version of blackjack in which you're dealt some cards, and you can either hit, stand, or you can decide to shoot at any point. The player with the closest to the amount of 21 has an automatic hit against their opponent and does 1d6 points of damage, which is really cool and really captures the feel of a Western shootout by integrating the blackjack idea. Is just a really fun and really awesome idea. Creating a character, creating a posse, as it's called, is super simple. This is a minimalist RPG, and I've really come to appreciate the minimalist gaming style lately. In fact, creating my own with influences from Gallant Knight Games and the Tiny line. But creating a character, creating a posse is super simple, and you're selecting 3 different traits. You select a weapon proficiency and a weapon that you have mastery of. You assign your gear and your dinero, or your money, and then you assign grit. And grit is another one of those options that really makes this feel like a Western RPG. Grit will allow you get 3 tokens of grit, or 3 points of grit at the beginning of every session. And it sort of represents your willpower, your fortitude, your savvy. You can use those to make rerolls. You can swap cards in showdowns. You can do a lot of different things with the grit mechanic, and it really enforces that Western RPG kind of feel. You also have a bounty stat, which is basically how wanted your character is. And it's just, again, another one of those things that just really reinforces the Western feel, and it's just a great mechanic. The end of this book, I own the PDF, is actually 38 pages long, and there's a ton of stuff packed in there. The end of it includes a GM section on how to game master the game, how to structure Western-themed adventures, how to create enemies and adversaries, and then an adventure setting as well too, called 12 Labors, Montana. If you're a Western fan at all, if you even have, if you've even just liked the movie 310 to Yuma, or Young Guns, or any of those sort of Western movies, definitely check this out. I will put a link down in the description below as to where you can find it on DriveThruRpg. I'll also put a link to the Gallant Knight Games website. They have an amazing array of games, and if you've watched the channel for any amount of time, you've seen me do reviews of quite a bit of their stuff, and many more to come. And in fact, we'll be doing a lot more in the coming weeks and months as well too. But Tiny Gunslingers just really captured my imagination, and it's really, while it reinforces more of a cinematic Western kind of feel, there's a small section that talks, if you want a more Deadlands type of a game, there's a section that you can do that as well too. But I think this game, even for a minimalist game, even at 38 pages, really can set up some really awesome adventure scenarios. A very cool campaign set in sort of the Wild West of North America in that time period and such. So Tiny Gunslingers by Gallant Knight Games, written by Alan Bahr. I'm a big fan of the Gallant Knight stuff, and you can probably see that if you've watched any of my videos before. But this is Questwise. Thanks for joining me at the fire. Until next time, my friends, game on, stay safe.